A major military parade is underway in Moscow to mark 75 years since the end of World War II. It celebrates the victory of the Soviet Red Army over Nazi Germany. President Vladimir Putin addressed the crowd gathered for the parade in Red Square. Thousands of soldiers and several foreign delegations are attending the event. We're looking at some live pictures here. The Victory Day parade was originally scheduled for May 9th, but was postponed because of the coronavirus pandemic. The Kremlin has dismissed criticism, that it's irresponsible to go ahead with it now, saying infections in Moscow are declining. DW's Emily Sherwin is standing by for us on Moscow's Red Square, where that parade is underway. Hello, Emily. Why did President Putin decide to go ahead with this parade now, despite an obvious risk to public health?
Well, this is the 75th anniversary of the Soviet victory in World War II, and so it's a really, really big deal for Russia. On the one hand, it's also always an opportunity, of course, for Russia to show off its kind of role as the victor nation, and also to show off its military might. You can see those huge tanks rolling across Red Square behind me. There's going to be an air show taking place, 14,000 troops marching today as well. So that's important, but also there's a huge national importance this year, because the parade is taking place just ahead of an important vote that's starting tomorrow on constitutional amendments, which could keep Vladimir Putin in power for 2 more terms until 2036. So that's hugely important for the president himself. And it's clear that the Kremlin timed this strategically. They want to create a patriotic atmosphere among the people here ahead of that vote.
So there's a political dimension to this. What do people in Moscow think of holding such a massive event during the pandemic?
Well, I was speaking to people ahead of the parade, and some people were saying, this seems badly timed with the pandemic. There are still thousands of new cases, coronavirus cases across Russia every day. Some people were worried, but most people told me, look, this needs to happen. Victory Day is sacred to me. People talked about their grandparents, their grandmothers, their grandfathers who took part in the war effort. After all, you have to remember that an estimated 27 million Soviet citizens were killed during World War II, which is known here as the Great Patriotic War. And just now in his speech, Putin talked as well about the huge sacrifices that the Soviet people had to take to, as he said, free Europe from Nazism, and the huge importance of that for Russia today as well. In a way, Victory Day and that Great Patriotic War, as it's known here, have become part of the official state ideology of modern Russia.
Okay, Emily, well, with this pandemic still underway, what measures are being taken to assure that the parade doesn't spark a new coronavirus hotspot?
Well, there are 14,000 troops, as I said, marching across the square today. So it's clearly, a big risk that the Kremlin is taking. There are people here in the stands. They are socially distanced. There's seats in between the veterans here watching the parade. Many people are wearing masks. And there are parades happening across the country, even though some cities have actually canceled them over fears of the pandemic. But this is clearly a risk that the Kremlin is willing to take, even though in Moscow, which has been a hotspot of the coronavirus, the authorities have actually told people to stay home and not come out to watch those tanks and that artillery that's passing through the city today.
Emily, thank you very much. That was DW's Emily Sherwin on Moscow's Red Square.